Morning. Welcome to this day with Quimper Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We welcome you to this time in this place made sacred by our presence and intention. Please turn off or silence your phones, and as we pause for this, I ask that we turn down the volume on our fears and anxieties. Take a moment for a few deep breaths. Feel the peace of this place. Let the music lift us past the cares we may carry. Hear the spoken words as a heartfelt sharing. My name is Megan Kate, and I'm a member of the board at QUUF. As we gather, we acknowledge that the water, land, and shorelines in Port Townsend are the traditional territory of the Skaalum and Chimacum peoples. We honor and acknowledge our Indigenous members and neighbors and vow to help restore and sustain these homelands. If you're visiting today, I offer a special welcome and invite you to join us for refreshments and conversation in the fellowship hall after the service. We have a newcomers table near the patio doors where our greeters are ready to answer any questions you might have. Welcome to you all this morning. We're glad you're here. And now I have a few announcements. The QUF Board of Trustees has appointed Bill Testerman to serve out Jesse Wild's term for the rest of this church year. Bill has served and continues to serve on various boards, both professional and nonprofit. He enjoys being a participating member in groups that he is associated with. As a lifelong learner, he says, I strive to be a good listener and to appreciate the ideas of other people. Along with that, I have developed an increased tolerance to, quote, accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That will be my compass as I join and participate in the discussions and decisions of the QUF board. I'm pleased to announce Norris Nibbler is here today with exciting auction updates. But before she comes out, the auction team would like to address a concern they've had. Are people in the mood to attend an auction now? That's a good question. The auction is a time for us to be together. It's time to foster connections, both old and new. It's a time to have fun and be part of a community where people step up for each other. Come and be seen and help us make our web of connection flourish. And now, here's Norris Nibbler. Norris?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hey. Good morning. Can you feel the excitement building? Do you know bidding officially starts today at 12 noon? Woohoo! Are you wondering what's in the catalog? Kathy and Liesel are. All bidding is online and will be open until Sunday, November 17th at 5 p.m. I have to be honest with you. I can't wait to scurry home and start bidding. Have you already registered to bid? If so, then bid away. If not, all the information and links are in the weekly update and on the website. There is no charge to register to bid. Did we get wonderful donations? You bet, including a gorgeous painting by Kathy Francis called Arbor at Chetzemoka Park. Check out the online auction catalog. There's an overnight stay in Uptown, boat outings, 4 nights in a Mercedes camper van. There's a mushroom walk, a beehive talk, a harbor tour, and a model boat rally. Quilts, art, game nights, delicious dinners, cakes, cookies, and much, much more. Today is the last day to get your tickets to the Around the World auction event that will be held on Friday, November 15th. It's going to be a lot of fun, so please get your tickets today. The Around the World auction event starts with mixing and mingling. There will be nibbles and drinks, items on display, and a chance to get raffle tickets. Thank you to everyone who donated marvelous gift baskets to the auction. 5 amazing gift baskets will be raffled off on that night. Later, we'll gather at tables in the sanctuary with themes from around the world, and we'll enjoy appetizers provided by the table hosts. Joseph Bednarik will be our MC and lead the Fund to Need bidding. There will be music, an epic slideshow, and a very special guest. Are you all ears? Sarah Walker will interview my second cousin, Fontina Nibbler. Fontina is the head of Mousegots, Inc., or as we call her, the Big Cheese. You won't want to miss it. Finally, I'm pleased to announce that this year's Fund to Need will go to support our religious education program. The funds raised will help offset the cost of RE so we can continue to provide this valuable resource to parents and the youth in our community. We currently have 68 youth across our RE and childcare who get together, build relationships, and are supported by our dedicated community. You can make donations to the religious education program by donating to the Fund to Need at the event on the 15th or online at the Octria auction website. If you are not going to register or not going to attend on the 15th, you can donate by writing a check to QUUF with Fund to Need in the memo line. Thank you for all your support that you give QUUF. Your donations to the auction and Fund to Need will help us realize our mission. The auction is our biggest fundraiser by far. Oh, rats, I almost forgot to tell you. We still have 18 different volunteer tasks that we need to fill for the auction. Please sign up at the bulletin board out in the foyer today. Remember, bidding starts at 12 noon today. My cousin Morris, Horace, Doris, Boris, Bree, and I predict we're going to have a super successful auction. Here's Hillary Rosen sharing Morris's inspiring words. We won't just squeak by. Say it with me. We won't just squeak by. Thank you.
Let us settle our minds and calm our hearts.
Thank you, choir. Good morning, friends. Am I on? Am I on enough? Yeah, there we go. Good. Our opening words today are by Monica Jacobson Tennyson. What is it that calls you here, that calls you onward, that calls you inward, that leads you homeward? What is it that gives you power, that makes you change, to ask the question, to take the journey? What is it that says you have done well, that asks you to learn more, that brings you to stillness, that holds you up in hard times? It is relationship, the beating heart of our faith. It begins when we share this hour, our truths, this air, our hearts. Come, let us worship together. Will you join me in our chalice lighting words by Eric Walker Wickstrom? Here, today, in this place, with these people, may we listen so we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and this world. May this chalice we light our way. Let's join in singing. Our opening hymn today is number 38 in the gray hymnal. If you want to follow along, Morning Has Broken, and the words will be projected.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the moonlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's the play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
It's our time for all ages, so I invite any children who are present or anyone who's childlike or childish who wants to come up. I'll take anyone. Good morning. Good morning. Wow, that was exciting. Oh my goodness. Hi. Wow. I get people sitting right next to me. This is awesome. Good morning. Good morning, all of you. My goodness. I have a story for you today, but it's not one that has a book. It's just one that I'm going to tell you. Oh, more people. Yay. Yay, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay, you're going to go somewhere. Okay, there we go. All right. So the story I want to tell you is about some starfish. Do you know what starfish are? Have you seen starfish? They're star-shaped animals, believe it or not, that live in the ocean. And the story is was actually started by, oops, nope, not doing those. inasmuch as we thought we were going to do those, I changed my mind. This is the problem with having to have things done in advance, you know? So here we are. We're not doing that, we're doing the starfish. So the starfish. So this is a story written by a guy named Lauren Isley, who I like a lot. Anyhow, his story is that on a beach, a man came out onto a beach, and he looked out and he saw that there were hundreds and hundreds of starfish along the coast, right up there in the sand, away from the water. Now, starfish need the water in order to live. They're fish, after all. And he was stunned by this. He didn't know why they were all there, what was going on, what had happened. But he was walking along the beach looking at the starfish and, again, being worried because he thought they might not survive if they couldn't get back to the water. And as he walked, he saw someone in the distance. And he kept walking to this person. And it looked like this person was just going like this all the time, just like that, just flinging his arm. And as he gets up to the person, he discovers what's happening is that this person, is picking up the starfish and throwing them back into the sea. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of starfish all along the beach. And the man is kind of confused by this, right? Because this isn't going to make much of a difference, is it? I mean, does she have enough time to get them all back in the water? He doesn't think so. He says to her, "What are you doing? What are you doing? This is nuts. This isn't going to matter if you just get a few starfish back in the water, right? This is not going to matter." And the woman leans down and picks up another one and flings it back into the water, and she says, "It matters to that one." And you may know that there's a lot of concern around right now. Your parents may be feeling some anxiety and some worry about kind of what's going on in our political life. The new president, some of us are kind of worried about the new president. And I just wanted to remind all of us this morning that no matter the small thing that we do to make the world better, it's important that we do it. So as we go out into the world this week after church today, just remember that there are always small things that you can do that will help the world, that will help those of us who are in the world, and that will help to save the world when it's in danger, which it just might be right now. So that's our story for today, friends. I would invite those of you along the aisle to rise and make an arch.
Surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Morning. We pause now for a time of generosity and to receive an offering which today goes to Center Valley Animal Rescue. I invite Kate Kelly, a volunteer at CVAR, to share a little about their work. And then the ushers will come among you to receive the offering, and additional ways for giving will be projected on the chancel wall.
Good morning. And thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about the work of Center Valley Animal Rescue. For over 20 years, CVAR has provided care for domestic and wild animals. Every animal that arrives at the rescue has a home for life. Of course, the goal is adoption, but if that doesn't happen, animals live out their lives in peace at the rescue. The rescue is located a little north of Quilcene, not that far south of here. I forgot to clock it this morning, but it really isn't very far, and it's a nice drive. Just a thought. Before I forget, I was asked to tell you about upcoming events. Our auction, our online auction, begins on Thanksgiving, so it's perfect. If you don't get enough of auction with your auction, you can swing right over to ours. And there's an open house in December, and you can find more information about those events on the Center Valley Animal Rescue website. If you go to the open house or if you visit the rescue, keep your distance from Dosey Wallops the emu. He is a total sweetheart, but he loves shiny things. So he will try to steal your buttons and your jewelry, and he has a very long neck. This has been a very busy year, and I'm afraid that people might be struggling financially more than usual, and so I think we may be getting more and more cases where people just can't care for their animals, despite their best intentions. In just the past few months, we have cared for over 200 animals, mostly dogs and cats, rescued from cruelty cases, hoarding cases. 36 dogs, all identical, white, little fluffy dogs, and well over 100 cats from hoarding situations. The cats were in Brennan. I think it was about 150. It was insane. Received medical care and socialization, and many are now being sent out to other rescues in more urban areas where they have a better chance of being adopted out. So they are finding homes. Center Valley keeps expanding to better accommodate, especially these large intakes. When we get, it's just a flood of animals, and it's very hard to find a place for all of them. Fortunately, we have a network of fosters, so that is something you might be interested in doing, is fostering animals once they have the medical care and they're stable, and then they get the socialization they need. Many of them that come from these cases have had little attention or perhaps neglect and perhaps abuse. So they need contact with people to get them ready to be adopted. And of course, you can come down to the rescue and just hang out, walk the dogs. You need training for that. Hang out with the kittens. What a tasking job that is. Just hang out with the kitties, and give them let them know that humans are good. The wildlife area gets very busy during the summer baby season, which thankfully is coming to a close. This week, I think 18 adolescent raccoons were released, which made the wildlife crew very happy. Raccoons are adorable, but they are very messy. So there'll be a lot less cleanup to do in the wildlife house. Center Valley also serves low-income community members with free or reduced cost spay, neuter, and vaccination clinics, and a pet food bank. There is a fully equipped medical unit, so every animal receives the highest quality care. It really is amazing what the rescue can do. There's just a well-supplied clinic. I was working one morning, and what looked like a bear was brought in, a tranquilized bear, and it was a bear. It had been it was in a tree in a yard on Bainbridge Island, and the homeowner, for some unknown reason, decided to shoot it with a pistol. So it was brought in for an x-ray. So that's something you don't see every day, is a bear getting an x-ray. They wanted to make sure the bullet wasn't any place where it would do any harm. It wasn't, so the bear was released. So pretty much anything that needs to be done, the rescue can do it. Center Valley is very good at getting grants, but volunteers and donations are essential. So what do volunteers do? Well, it isn't just shoveling manure, although cleaning up after animals is a big part, and that's what I did before my back started protesting too much. Volunteers do anything and everything. Any ability or interest you have, there's a need for it at Center Valley. The outdoor crew cares for farm animals. Indoor crew takes care of a variety of pets, birds, reptiles, you name it. In fact, I think right now we're looking for someone to care for a cricket colony, to raise crickets, to feed the reptiles. So you could be the bug czar. Volunteers do office work, they tidy the flower beds, they do construction, they do public outreach like this. Big need for that. I found that many people who work with animals are more comfortable with animals than with humans. And so it's not always easy to find someone who's willing to go man the booth at the farmer's market or go talk to groups. I'm shy, but I have learned to fake it. So I'm the one that they tend to tap for these kinds of things. Spending time with animals to socialize them, and walking dogs, photography, fundraising, hosting interns and visiting staff. I have someone coming to stay with me in February. I live in Bryn and I have a guest room. And so I've hosted college students who are interning for the summer. It's really fun. And you know how hard it is to find housing in this area. The Center Valley does have a very small studio apartment that used to be a hayloft, so not real big, but we need space, especially in the summer. And they aren't around much because the interns are kept very, very busy, because summer is baby season. Transporting animals, wild and domestic. I've transported a baby seal to a rescue, a marine rescue in the Tacoma area, a baby bat from down by Shelton, baby coyote, a cat from the Brennan hoarding case, and a squirrel, took a squirrel to Bainbridge. And last week, I took 5 of the identical little white fluffy dogs to a rescue in Olympia, where they will be adopted out. I'm sure they will find homes quickly because they're adorable. I thought I would need earplugs because little dogs, but they were really good travelers. The only animal that was kind of a pain to transport was the squirrel, because he grumbled every time we hit a bump. And there was construction on the way to Bainbridge, and so there was a lot of grumbling. I felt sort of bad. The 2024 has been our busiest year yet. By June, we had taken in 334 domestic and 136 wild animals. So you can tell the numbers are high. And that is why we keep expanding, keep trying to accommodate the needs of all kinds of animals. There's a flight enclosure, I think that's finished now, for eagles, turkey vultures, the large birds. So we just keep trying to make it possible to care for everything that comes through the gate. And you help tremendously. I can't even begin to tell you how much this means. It is just huge to have the community's support. And at this time, which is a difficult time, yes, forming community is key to get us through. And so it's a nice community at Center Valley. It really is. It's a nice group of people. And if you go down there and do some cleaning or walk some dogs or help in the office or whatever it is that calls to you, you leave feeling really good about yourself and you feel better about the world, and the animals certainly feel better too. If you're not sure what you would like to do, you can try different things, but I guarantee you will quickly find your spot. Everyone does. Everyone finds the animals that speak to them. There is someone who absolutely adores the rabbits. The rabbits are her thing. I loved working with the horses. Everyone just kind of has you find your spot, and you will love those animals, and they will love you. So thank you for continuing to be partners in caring for animals. We couldn't do it without you. Volunteers and donations keep the lights on, keep the animals fed, keep the wheels turning. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Kate. Our plate offerings this morning will go to benefit Central Valley Animal Rescue. Please join me in our offering words. As the community of ourselves, Its energy and resources are our energy and resources. Its wealth is what we share. As we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our lives within it.
We set aside time each week to share the joys and sorrows of our lives. We know that our personal joys and sorrows are only a fragment of the joys and sorrows of the larger community of life, and so we place this first stone, thinking today in particular of the next 4 years, and committing ourselves to the work of building community and coalitions so that we keep creating the world that we dream can be. There are no shared joys and sorrows today, so we place a final stone, thinking of those joys and sorrows that are held in our hearts but are left unspoken. Thank you. Oh, let's take a deep breath, friends. And settle into your seat. We'll have a little time of quiet and reflection together. We'll start with a poem by Rosemary Watola Tromer, and then some time of stillness together. I invite you to close your eyes as that's comfortable, to relax your shoulders, and to take some deep breaths. This poem called Because. So I can't save the world, can't save even myself, can't wrap my arms around every frightened child, can't foster peace among the nations, can't bring love to all who feel unlovable. So I practice opening my heart right here in this room and being gentle with my insufficiency. I practice walking down the street heart first. And if it is insufficient to share love, I will share it anyway. I want to converse about truth, about trust. I want to invite compassion into every interaction. One willing heart can't stop a war. One willing heart can't feed all the hungry. And sometimes, daunted by a task too big, I tell myself, what is the use of trying? But today, the invitation is clear: to be ridiculously courageous in love, to open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freezing is possible and opening anyway. To take love seriously, to give love wildly, to raise up to the world as if it were a puppy, adoring and unjaded, stumbling on my own exuberance, to feel the shock of indifference, of anger, of cruelty, of fear, and stay open. To love as if it matters, and as if the world depends on it. Let us pause in stillness. So may it be. Amen. Our first reading is from The Art of Forgiveness, Loving Kindness, and Peace by Jack Kornfield. He writes, in our closest relationships where we are most vulnerable, love is not always easy. Once Mother Teresa was being interviewed by the BBC, and the interviewer remarked that in some ways a life of service might be easier might be easier for her than for us ordinary householders. After all, he pointed out, she had no possessions, no car, no insurance, no husband. That's not true, she replied. I am married too. She held up the ring that nuns in her order wear to symbolize their marriage to Christ. And she added, and he can be very difficult sometimes. If it was difficult for Mother Teresa, it's going to be difficult for us.
The second reading from March Percy about leaning in and being useful. The people I love the best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shallows, and swim off with sure strokes out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, like the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, that pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must be come in or the fire put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands and crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well, it has a shape that satisfies, is clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine and oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real.
Oh
Some of you know that one of my commitments in preaching is to make sure that there's a time for us all to have a good belly laugh during the service, right? I have mentioned this before, and I think it is really, really important. But I have to say that today it was a little harder to find what that might be, just mentioning it. Thankfully, one of my colleagues, Heather Starr, posted in a minister's Facebook group that her coping skills is making quips, and then she wrote, "Colleagues, I came upon the best sermon title for tomorrow. I've really been wrestling with what had been my sermon title, Too Soon to Tell, and then what it was on Wednesday evening, Be the Helpers. And now it's Saturday morning, but I finally got it. There are just no words. Only then I have a real problem. Only then I have a real problem. No words for the sermon." Yeah, did y'all get it? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. And I have to tell you, it's a problem I share with many of my colleagues and probably many of you, that we're not quite sure what to think and what to say at this moment. We're not quite sure what we need to be doing and how to respond to the election results. But I'm going to give it my best shot to suggest some ways forward. The first thing to remember as the shape of the next 4 years begins to form is that what we are called to do in the world has not changed at all. We are called to put love at the center and to live out the promise and possibility that love offers. We are called to embody values of generosity and compassion, to take care of those who struggle to make their way in the world, be they poor or living without a place to call home, whether they're hungry or lost or in deep grief. We're called to create a world that is more fair, to battle racism, classism, misogyny, all of which are in sharp relief these days. I'm going to start with some thinking that I did some years ago. So at the auction at the Tacoma congregation 8 years ago now, a member of the congregation, Chris Kaufman, bought a sermon from me. Chris was an interesting man in our congregation. His life work had been water systems, and he had worked at all levels of the government. In the years that I knew him, he was in his 80s and still being invited to the White House to talk about water infrastructure. This life work had begun when he was in the Peace Corps as a young man. He served in India and lived in a palatial home with servants, and from there he traveled I'm just having trouble with words today. Traveled widely. His task while he was there was to help build the water infrastructure for the area, and that is how his career bloomed. Chris had asked every minister he had known to preach on the topic of empire, and none were willing to take up the challenge. But I, game to learn something new, started to explore the topic. When we met to talk about it, Chris brought along a whole stack of books that he thought would be helpful, but what was most helpful to me was when he began to talk about the benefits of empire. He noted that where there had been an empire, infrastructure improved and the lives of citizens did too. He noted that when Rome expanded into the British Isles, they brought water systems and built roads that improved the lives of people who lived there. As England expanded its empire, for example, it built railroads and other infrastructure. We can recognize now that those benefits came with a price, typically paid by the indigenous people and the ecosystem. We know that empires at their core are not wholly benevolent. Since World War II, the United States has been the big dog in the room. We're the empire, friends. The leader of the free world, that's us, exporting democracy and exploiting what we can. 8 years ago, I ended my reflection with the recognition that the grand experiment that was the United States, this empire was eventually going to fall, and I thought it most likely it would fall to China. I even said that in my sermon. Instead, at this moment, we can see that it is falling to greed, to avarice, to hunger for absolute power. An aside. At the beginning of the first Trump presidency, I was comforted by the image of the genie in the Disney film Aladdin. Some of you seen that, right? And at one point, the genie, Aladdin asked the genie why he doesn't just free himself from his lamp. And the genie replies first by making himself enormous and booming in voice, and he says, "Phenomenal cosmic powers." And then he shrinks himself into his lamp and says, "Itty-bitty living space." The genie is limited by his confinement to the lamp and can only be freed if the owner of the lamp releases him. Aladdin eventually does that, but only after besting the evil Jafar. At the beginning of the first Trump presidency, I trusted that the guardrails of our democracy would hold Trump back, and indeed they did to a large degree. But those guardrails have largely disappeared. The project for this term is to dismantle the administrative state that has largely made possible the ongoing success of the United States. We are sliding away from all that has made the United States successful and moving towards autocracy, which will not serve us. We've seen through this election time a primary strategy to enable this. During the election, we've seen this. In a conversation held between Heather Cox Richardson and Jon Stewart this week, Richardson notes that as far back as the George W. Bush presidency, there has been a deliberate movement away from reality-based politics. Ron Suskind, a columnist for the New York Times during the Bush administration, reported that an aide to Bush said, and I'm quoting him here, that guys like me were in what we call the reality-based community, which he defined as people who, quote, believe solutions emerge from your judicious study of discernible reality. I nodded and murmured something about Enlightenment principles and empiricism. He cut me off. That's not the way the world really works anymore, he continued. We're an empire now. When we act, we create our own reality. And while you're studying reality judiciously as you will, we'll act again, creating other new realities, which you can study too. And that's how things will sort out. We're history's actors, and you, all of you, will be left just to study what we do. Richardson comments, "We have a propaganda ecosystem. People are angry about things that are not true. Republicans no longer needed to live in the reality-based community because they could create their own reality. If the government is no longer responsive to citizens, that opens the door to fictions as to why. It allows the Republicans to say, you could have this, but those immigrants, those trans people are taking it from you. It's framed as resource guarding. That's the authoritarian playbook." Friends, it is dire. It is dire. It feels dire. It sounds dire. And we cannot allow this to stop us from doing what we can. We can be heroes. Richardson and Stewart agreed in this interview, a hero is a person who continues to try to do the right thing even though the walls are closing in. That's us, my friends. That's us, those people who continue to try to do the right thing when the walls are closing in. It means continuing to do all the right things. And there are all sorts of small, important, right things. To continue to listen to people on the margins, people of color, our indigenous friends and neighbors, women, the LGBTQ community, those without a stable place to live. They have much to tell us about how the world is for them, and those of us with all manner of privilege need to listen to them. And we need to act in every way we possibly can, writing to government officials, donating to causes that make the world better, supporting each other. All of this is to say that we cannot lose hope. Barack Obama reminds us, hope is not blind optimism. It's not ignoring the enormity of the task ahead or the roadblocks that stand in our path. It is not sitting on the sidelines or shirking from a fight. Hope is that thing inside that insists, despite all evidence to the contrary, that something better awaits us if we have the courage to reach for it, and to work for it, and to fight for it. Hope is the belief that destiny will not be written for us, but by us, by the people who are not content to settle for the world as it is, who have the courage to remake the world into what it should be. None of this is going to be easy. And, importantly, we are not alone. Look around. Look around. Notice who is here with you. Remember who is in the struggle with us. Other UUs across the country, others in this community who are fighting for what is right and worthy. We are not alone, and we are not powerless, though they would like us to think that we are. Years ago, I read a book written by William Safire, who served in the Nixon administration. It's one of those things I was in a book club at the time. I was in my early 20s, maybe. And it was one of those that you had to send back the thing that said you didn't want it, or they sent the book, and I forgot to send the thing back, and I got the book, and so I read it. And there's one thing I remember from the book. He told a story about Nixon's anger at the folks who were protesting the Vietnam War. And in particular, he was angry with the folks who protested in Lafayette Park, the park that's right across the street from the the close-to view of the White House. It just pissed him off that people were out there with their signs and their chants, and all of that we did back in those days. Eventually, they came up with a way to clean it up. The White House announced that there would be a renovation of the park, and they put up plywood barriers all around the park. What we didn't know back then was that there was no renovation going on, had nothing to do with that. It was only done to assuage Nixon's anger, and when he left office, the fencing came down to the exact same park that had been there before they put it up. I tell you this to invite you to remember that we cannot know the impact that we're having until much later. I've lost the site for this, but someone on my Facebook feed wrote that faith is the willingness to persevere when there is no visible change, which there very seldom is. Victory is someone looking back 100 years from now and thinking how dumb some of our society's generally accepted assumptions are. So here's the thing. We have to lean into what is possible now. Let's continue the work that we have been doing all of this time, living into the values and dreams that we have of justice, equity, and freedom, working together to make the world a better place, holding each other and the whole world in love and care, and living into compassion as fully as we possibly can. The journey into the future is not going to be easy. But remember, we have these good companions, and more than we can count, who will join us in the work. So let us begin it today. Do not comply in advance. So may it be. Whew. Let's sing number 1014 in the Teal hymnal, Answering the Call of Love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep hope lightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
From my colleague Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, friends, for deep down there is another truth. We are not alone. Join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment, the power of transformation. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Whenever life gets you down, my friends, and things seem hard and tough, and you've volunteered for way too many things, and you feel that you've had quite enough, whenever life gets you down, my friends, and things seem hard and tough, and you've volunteered for way too many things, and you feel that you've had quite enough, just remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour. It's orbiting at 19 miles a second, so it's reckoned round the sun that is the source of all our power. The sun and you and me and all the stars that you can see are moving at 1,000,000 miles a day. Oh my! In an outer spiral arm at 40,000 miles an hour. In a galaxy we call the Milky Way. Milky Way. Oh, yes. Our galaxy itself contains 100 billion stars. It's 100,000 light years side to side. Side to side. It bulges in the middle, 16,000 light years thick, but out by us it's just 3,000 light years wide. We're 30,000 light years from galactic central point and go around every 200 million years. And our galaxy is only one of millions and billions in this amazing and expanding universe. Itself keeps on expanding and expanding in all of the directions it can whiz. As fast as it can go, the speed of light, you know. 12 million miles a minute, that's the fastest thing there is. So remember when you're feeling very small and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth. And pray that there's intelligent life somewhere out in space, 'cause there's bugger all down here on Earth. Lighten up. There are stars in the sky, lighten up. It's a good question, why? You don't know the answer, and neither do I. So meanwhile, it's just all lighten up. And remember, as a Unitarian Universalist, no dogma, no fundamentalism. There are no 10 commandments, only 7 little principles, no original sin or intellectual schism. The earth is sacred and we believe in justice, but more than that is really hard to say. We could be naturalists, mystics, humanists, or theists. We're you-yous and we like to find that way. We could be naturalists, mystics, humanists, or theists. We're you-yous and we like to find that way.